Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today for Thursday morning, September 23rd, 2021. The man they call Meathead, the gentleman squire named Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
You know what? I like that. That might be my favorite introduction of all time. The
gentleman
squire.
I make them up. That literally happened a half second before I said it.
The gentleman squire, Matthew Thomas. Fantastic. We can just go home right now. That's enough show for anybody.
No more the Motts. You're the gentleman squire now. That is official. All right. The gentleman squire, Matthew Thomas, and the gentleman squire will let everyone listening know how to get some of that great gear from our sponsor.
Well, hey, you saw last night what kind of crowd response a collar and elbow lock tie-up can generate. Well, just imagine what kind of crowd response you're going to get when you hit the streets in your brand new collar and elbow gear, available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com.
That may have been the best promo you've ever done, and then you stuttered it up, but that's okay. I do all the time.
Head on over there and type in promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY, in the little section where it says enter promo code. Save you some 10% off and just dress yourself in the finest threads around at collarandelbowbrand.com.
That's fantastic. Like I said, if you like the response that Collar and Elbow got in the opening, that was absolutely perfect. But then, like I do, I stuttered it up and effed it all up.
Yeah. Well, you can splice it all up in post production.
So let's talk a little bit of wrestling action. We got a little bit of news here. First off, superstar Billy Graham in the hospital again. He's had some recent health issues that have been ongoing. Well, Billy Graham's back at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're saying it because I'm not sure this is going to turn out well, to be honest with you. I'm a little worried about it. There is fluid coming off of his kidneys. There's damage on his kidneys. I believe the fluid's in his lungs, but Billy's having a hard time. So you guys keep your thoughts and prayers in mind for superstar Billy Graham.
Absolutely. And, if you're not as familiar with Billy Graham's catalog, I believe the Billy Graham documentary on the Peacock is still on there, and watched that some years back. A really good piece WWE did some years back on Billy Graham.
He's a predecessor to a lot of things that we saw in the late 80s and early 90s. I mean, if you think about Jesse the Body Ventura, really a kind of a look from superstar Billy Graham. You think about Hulk Hogan, kind of a look from superstar Billy Graham. So,
absolutely.
You get a lot of that coming off of that. So, Billy Graham, we hope everything turns out, and I really hope that you turn it around here. Braun Strowman, Adam Shearer, obviously, formerly known as Braun Strowman, has now officially made it that, hey, he's been dating Raquel Gonzalez. And by the way, Raquel Gonzalez on the Meatheads, into it, watching and, really digging her thing, has gone through the roof lately, especially with that little video that we talked about with her pickup lines to Braun Strowman. But there was a picture that we talked about off air, and we're going to talk about now, of Adam and Raquel at a wedding, rocking the New Balance with the neon N in his suit. And he responded to Fox saying who should be drafted next. And Raquel, WWE from NXT, believes that she is going to be called up to the big brand.
Interesting. It's a possibility. But, and what you got to be comfortable at a wedding. And especially if you're going to do a lot of walking, it's probably a good call on his part.
Braun Strowman still unofficially with any company. There is rumor that he will show up with Impact Wrestling. Do you think that his look and his style would fit better with Impact, or do you think that, and again, we're doing this because we can, do you think that AEW would be the world, or is AEW just busting at the seams right now, and is there no room for him in AEW?
I think Impact's the way to go. I think Impact is the right call. I mean, that Impact, it tends to, one thing that I feel like they've been missing over the years is a lot of characters. I mean, they've got really, really solid wrestling talent there, but I feel like they could benefit more from a WWE style character, the likes of a Braun Strowman. I think that's the best call. I mean, he goes over there. That's news. I mean, he is one of probably the franchise players over there. That's not the case if he goes to AEW right now.
No, AEW, as much as we enjoy everybody that's showing up, busting at the seams, like I said, They are overflowing with talent right now. And to be honest, Kenny Omega had tweeted out at one point in an interview, it said that, look, I feel like 90% of the locker room in WWE right now wants to come on over to AEW because
Yeah.
wrestling's fun. And let's talk about fun. And let's talk about AEW from last night. GrandSlam Dynamite. Wow, did that building look good. Wow. I want to say thank you to Tony Khan, to Cody Rhodes, and all the management at AEW. I want to say thank you to all the talent in AEW. I want to say thank you to New York City fans for making that probably the most fun show I've watched in a long time. Matthew, for the first time in damn near forever, I did not watch Dynamite on my DVR.
Yeah. No,
I watched live.
Same. I made it a point to watch. I was a little bit behind, but to get as close to live as I could.
Like, I got to fit my schedule to show up at 3 minutes to the hour to be in front of the TV. It was appointment viewing, is what it was.
Yeah, and man, it's a different feel. I mean, as convenient as DVRs and watching stuff on demand is, there's something to be said when you are in real time, knowing that what you're watching is what everybody else in the country that's watching it. It's that communal experience that you just don't get. You just don't get it from on demand or on DVR. And what's really fun is if you're watching a big event like that and you're situated in your home or apartment complex where you can see through people's blinds. If you can see somebody else in another window watching it at the same time you are, that's really fun too.
That used to happen back in the Attitude Era during the WWF Raw days where, you might be, working late or you might be coming home in your building and you hear another TV and you hear JR yelling in the background. Yeah, those days are long gone. But yeah, if that's the case and you look over and somebody else is watching it too, that's fantastic. It's amazing. Let's talk.
I think I would be a really good. I think I'd do a really good job working for the Nielsen company, because that is one of my. I really don't care what anybody else is doing when I look in their windows, but I'm always curious. if I've got an open window, I'm always curious as to what other people are watching on TV.
Trust me, if your window's open, people are trying not to look into yours because, again, for some reason, a loincloth is not hip. Stop it.
Depends on who you ask.
All right, let's talk about the beginning of the show, and they opened up with the right match to catch the attention. Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, with the big introductions by the Dapper Yapper, Justin Roberts. You talked about opening up a show and getting a reaction to a collar and elbow. This was a 30-minute time limit match. There was no interference in this match that I recall out of all 30 minutes.
No.
Don Callis stayed at ringside, was not on commentary, to the joy of everybody else on commentary. But this match went to a draw. Then the Elite finally came down, or the Super Click, whatever they're calling them now, gave a triple super kick to Bryan Danielson, and then the save by, obviously, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Christian Cage setting up the match on Friday. Matthew, this match was everything I thought it would be. And, booking-wise, if this were WWE, we'd probably get hot if this were a pay-per-view and we got a draw or we got a no contest or a DQ. I'm okay with the draw here.
Yeah, I don't think there was any other way to do it, especially when I realized this was going to open the show, which I think in retrospect was a very good call. I assumed this would main event. It did not. They let the women's title match go on, which if you're looking at this card, that makes the most sense. That is the only title match on the card that should headline the show. There's no title involved here. This is a non-title match. Made sense in that capacity.
It made the title stronger by putting it in the main.
Yes, and you got the crowd when they were their freshest last night. And, you were able to capitalize on that intensity of that crowd. And, it was.
Yeah, the crowd intensity pushed that match along. I really do think so. Because remember, folks, that we watched 2 hours last night. It's a 4-hour show for them because they're taping 2 hours of Rampage right after.
Without a doubt. But no, great opening match to open the show. I think a draw was the right call. This is Bryan's first match in the company. You don't want to have him lose his first match. Also, you don't want to have your champion necessarily lose either. This was WWE. I don't remember the last time WWE even put a time limit on a match. I don't think they do. This
was a 60-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah. This was an extraordinary use of a time limit, and you can take a match to a draw under the right circumstances. And this was the right circumstance.
5 more minutes.
Yeah,
we didn't get
I was absolutely thrilled with this.
How did you like the stage with the LEDs? This is the first time, even though we know how it works, this is the first time we've ever heard this before. Excalibur explained to us how you make an LED ramp. Yeah. It's a plexiglass on top of a bunch of LED boards on scaffolding. That was probably the most insightful thing I've ever heard.
Dude, he's like the professional wrestling equivalent to Bob Vila.
Is he the Mike Tenay of the 21st century?
He very easily could be. You know, we need another AEW show where Excalibur just builds stuff. I think that would be really cool. Maybe a little YouTube channel, a little YouTube show.
Him and Ron Swanson.
Yeah. Building birdhouses, building, you know, whatever other kinds of things that, you know, you're in the mood to build. I think that would be a big hit. And LED ramp.
Away by that. I mean, we know, right? But how cool is that?
Yeah. Ramp looked great. The stadium as a whole looked great. And honestly, after watching this, I'm surprised that more wrestling promotions don't play tennis stadiums because it was 20,000 people. How many
tennis stadiums are in the country now?
You know what? I used to have one within walking distance from me when I lived in South Carolina. So at least 2.
Granted, I know that the Milwaukee area is not a huge tennis mecca, right? But tennis stadiums aren't something like, you know, you're going to find soccer fields or you're going to find, you know, baseball stadiums or whatever. But to show you how well attended this show was, I continually took my eyes above the stage to look at the people that were behind the stage.
Yeah.
It was full.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and even a tennis stadium at half this capacity, you know, you can really go a lot further with creating an illusion of a bigger place, you know, even in a place that'll hold about 10,000 or so because of the, you know, the levels and the steepness of it.
It looked unbelievable. I absolutely was in love with the aesthetics of the entire show. Let's talk about Punk's interview. He says that people are looking for pissed off Punk. Stop being so happy. He goes, I can't help it. I love you guys and you guys love me. It's the CM Punk love fest. But Team Taz, you're even half of you guys are from this area and they can't stand you. I'll tell you what, this Friday on Rampage, Powerhouse Hobb goes to sleep.
Yeah, I think Punk's promos keep getting better week after week. And I mean, that he's returned, he's consistently a Punk promo has been either a part of, you know, Dynamite or Rampage each week. And I think that that's a pretty good formula.
MJF took on Brian Pillman. MJF, no promo last night. I thought he'd get on the microphone, but they didn't need it because MJF was completely over as a bad guy, as the heel. And Pillman, while he's over as the face, I mean, his shtick's not going to work as well in New York City as it does in Cincinnati. Yeah. MJF with the big win.
Yeah, and MJF is somebody you need to keep strong. I mean, at the end of the day, as blown away right now as we are by the talent in that company, you know, MJF, no matter which way you cut it, is one of your top guys there, and he needs to be booked accordingly. I think this made a ton of sense.
Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black, when it went dark for Malachi Black's entrance, I'm like, ooh, are we getting a surprise? No, it's top of the hour. It's going to be Malachi Black. This was a great match, except Arn Anderson on camera shouldn't be shown trying to get around the turnbuckle or the ring post. And he fell. Accidents happen. Then he got back up on the ring post to get his spot. That end was terrible. Malachi obviously put the gimmick in his mouth, sprayed it on Cody Rhodes to win. I like a little black mist.
Yeah, no, I thought this match worked. You know, the Arn thing, it was unfortunate to see. I think
Can I ask you a question? Not to cut you off, but can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Anytime anybody's around any one of those ring posts, do you get Vietnam flashbacks when it comes to FTR getting their skin stuck in it?
Oh,
I think about it every second of every time somebody's out there. Why are they doing it? Are they shaving it down? Have they filed it down? Have they smoothed it out?
Yeah.
Because that's why.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, and something else, too, I wanted to address with you. I know you're in New York. You're a little bit of a different crowd, but you know, I've seen a little bit of the sentiment online, and we got very, in a very visceral manner last night. Are you at all surprised by some of the anti-Cody sentiment that's out there?
Surprised? No. I like
Cody.
Okay.
I don't go for it.
I was going to say, I like Cody. However, Cody's in a very unique position. Cody brought Brandy out to, even promote the reality show for next week.
Yeah.
Cody is really the boss here, him and Tony Khan, right? So we talked about it for years. Even Matthew, before we started talking, we talked about X-Pac heat, Jeff Jarrett heat, and now we're talking about that go-away heat is what it's called now. I feel Cody Rhodes on occasion does get that.
Yeah. And what surprises me is I feel like he has so deliberately been aware of that possibility in AEW, and his booking has showed that. I mean, he was in the first few months of the company disqualified from holding a major title. You don't
from holding the title. He can hold any other title, but from holding the title,
you don't see Cody a ton. And I mean, I understand that the concern was you got somebody new, like a Malachi Black, that you're going to have Cody ultimately go over. But it's interesting because I see where you could have a situation where you've got somebody that is, higher up in the company running roughshod, putting themselves over. And I don't feel like you've gotten that with Cody. So when I see AEW, what AEW has become, and I see a milestone like you had last night where you've got AEW in a stadium with 20,000 people, I feel like there needs to be a little more Cody love than we got last night.
I understand. Well, next week on Dynamite, Miro is going to defend his AEW TNT Championship. Yeah, that's what I said. Against Sammy Guevara. Now, I didn't catch the entire promo because I was making something to eat, but did Miro also offer up the 73 Chevy Vega? Or 69 Gremlin?
No, Sammy said that if he wins the title, he is going to actually buy him a new car.
Okay. I was going to say, because get him back that Chevy Gremlin again.
Yeah, again, great promo. Miro's promos week after week are just so well done. He's got that tonality, the delivery, but like in a lot of ways, you need to hang on every word because there's some good stuff in there. Thought it was very strong with Miro. I don't know. I'm having a little bit of a tougher time with Sammy delivering a face promo. It, in a lot of ways, I guess we got so used to Sammy as a heel. Sammy is a face. Like, he comes across as a uber baby face, and it's just such a stark contrast than the Sammy that we all became accustomed to.
Okay. All right. Tag team match, Darby Allin and Sting taking on FTR. There was some interference in this match. I mean, a little bit of back and forth. Remember, it's a tag match, so you're going to have people coming in there. Tully gets popped in the mouth as well. The winners of the match, Darby Allin and Sting. And I honestly still feel that this is setting us up to Sting and Tully Blanchard.
Yeah. I was hoping that you might have an FTR member pick up a pin on Sting. I think that could have done.
I wanted to say the same thing, actually. I wanted to give you a chance to say it first, but do you have a problem with Sting getting the clear victory?
I don't. I would have rather seen it go the other way, but I'll tell you, that was a genius finishing sequence there, where you had the FTR, I forgot which one it was, but you had him trying to offer assistance to his partner on the outside of the ring, and Darby breaking it off with a coffin drop to the apron. I thought that spot was a genius. And the thing of it is, if we did not have the outcome, then we would not have had that great spot. So I was fine with it by the time it ended.
Alrighty. Main event, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, with Jamie Hayter and Rebel, not Reba, taking on Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho definitely over in the New York area because she's got a New York City girl kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And Britt Baker, wow. The only thing I wanted to say, and I mentioned to you off air before we came on, is that amazing move from the top turnbuckle, which looked like a Pittsburgh Sunrise, not the Panama City Sunrise, but the Pittsburgh Sunrise, and then Soho kicks out, but taps out to the lockjaw.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, I mean, they're trying to that lockjaw is the Britt Baker finish that they're trying to protect.
Right. And the AEW protects finishers,
Mhm.
which is something I absolutely love in wrestling.
100%. So yeah, I thought there was a slight chance we might have had a surprise last night, but
No.
going strong with Britt Baker. I mean, that is some homegrown talent that's got that title right now, and I don't see that changing anytime in the near future. That's the problem that they're having in the women's division. If
it does, it has to change to somebody in-house as well. You can't give it the newcomer that just walked in.
No. And I think Ruby's going to be fine after this. That's the one concern about her winning that and going directly to a title shot. You don't have that bill, but she's going to be fine. There's plenty of people, even in Britt Baker's stable, for her to feud with. So I think you spin off there. And whoever we see, I mean, you got to think that Thunder Rosa Britt Baker program, I think is going to be hot when you
possibly
do that.
Serena Deeb if she gets healthy again.
Yeah,
but I think Thunder Rosa is the one that they work towards.
Yeah,
especially after kicking Dave LaGreca's ass, right?
No, 100%, and or maybe Charlotte when she eventually comes in.
Knock it off.
You know what? That dawned on me last night, though. That is a match that I would love to see if we ever had the stars aligned. Yeah, I think that would be, because you look at the whole landscape of the
that would be a
division.
Huge blow to WWE. There'd have to be. I mean, let's talk about that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but let me set you up here, and I want you to give your analysis on this. Let's talk about that. There's been shots across the bow, technically, and they've all come from AEW. Who has WWE taken from AEW so far that was on their roster and now made a big star? No way. AEW has grabbed a lot of release talents. Let's make that part clear. But they've also grabbed some talents that their contracts ran out and just decided not to re-sign. Yeah. Charlotte, if she showed up in AEW, would be a huge blow to the company.
100%. I mean, I think that's
their women's division right there.
Yeah, that is. You're still talking about AEW talent to WWE. I mean, I think you're still 2, 3, 4 years away from that even possibly happening. I think AEW is so hot right now. You've got to let a little bit. I mean, you've got to let there be some staleness and some people on that roster not be really satisfied with the direction they're going or where they've been booked. And I think you're just so far away from that right now. I don't think, AEW's the shiny new toy. I mean, that's the cool thing right now. I mean, you're eventually going to get some AEW people leaving for WWE, and you're going to eventually have, some of the seesaw going back and forth. But I think we're talking years down the road at this point.
Let's talk about tomorrow night's GrandSlam Rampage. 8-man tag team match, Santino Ortiz and the Lucha Brothers taking on Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. A trios tag match, Adam Cole and the Bucks against Christian Cage, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Lights out match, Eddie Kingston and John Moxley against Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki. Jericho and Hager take on the Men of the Year, or as Hager called them, the Boys of the Year, or the Bitches of the Year, or whatever he called them. Anna Jay and Penelope Ford, and then CM Punk in his first TV match in 7 years against Powerhouse Hobbs. And then next week's Dynamite for the car and the TNT Championship, Miro and Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, what I'm curious about for Rampage is, can that crowd sustain that momentum? This is the same
Watch
night.
The last hour, because remember, it's 2 hours now, not 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, from the Milwaukee show, the Rampage that we did, the only thing that kept us going was having Giannis screaming at the front, in ringside.
And, I know it's going to be a great show, but I mean, they did stack Wednesday night, and in retrospect, I'm a little bit more surprised that, this card was not a little bit more evenly distributed. I mean, Wednesday night was the main card, and you're going to have a lot of interest in Punk wrestling. I think that lights out match, it would not surprise me if you actually open that show with the Punk match to kind of get
it's going to open with the Punk match. There's no doubt in my mind that it opens with the Punk match. First time in 7 years to get the run over from SmackDown. Absolutely.
And you've got to close with the lights out, right? Because that's the quintessential name of a lights out match is
Well, they can always
it's
turn the
over.
lights back on.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be, hey, it's over. This is not official part of the product. Enjoy your drive home. We got to have Justin Roberts say,
And nobody's
thank
driving
you.
home. They're all taking mass transit. Remember, there's been tweets.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight, everyone. Be safe. Lights are going to go out. And then they have their wrestling match.
And then somebody goes over and goes, ding, ding. And it's a Apollo Creed Rocky Balboa match.
Or it's the true term of a lights out match. They don't bring them back up and they just wrestle in the dark.
There you go. That's a dark match. You don't have to cheer for it. All right, Matthew Thomas, that is all. We are going to talk to you guys tomorrow morning. We're going to preview SmackDown, preview Rampage as well, and everything else that we go through. We might possibly talk about McDonald's too. I don't know. For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call me, Ed. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.